Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Love Island.
Love Island.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Welcome to the villa. Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even singles in swimsuits looking for love in Fiji. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Love Island, USA.
USA.
Season 6 of America's take on the hit British dating show.
That's
Woo,
it.
Islanders.
And before we get into it, Islanders, make sure you give Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, 5 stars. And you can auto-download our episodes, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. And you can support us in all kinds of ways. You can buy our merch by going to the shop tab on our website, sisterswhowatch.com. And we have listener support on Spotify, and you can Zelle us. All right. Shelby, tell us the background of Love Island USA.
I hope you're all ready to hear about the show of the summer. Woo! So the logline for Love Island USA, US version of the British show Love Island, where a group of singles come to stay in a villa for a few weeks and have to couple up with one another. So this spin-off show started in 2019. The original Love Island UK started in 2015, so a few years later, they expanded to the US, similar to how shows like Love is Blind and The Bachelor right now have versions all over the world. Love Island USA was initially on CBS and now is on Peacock, so that's how we've been watching it. It's had a few hosts over the years, but very exciting. The new host for season 6 was Vanderpump Rules' own Ariana Madix. Apparently, she's a very big Love Island USA superfan, so that's one of the reasons why she got the gig. So I feel like a lot of Bravo people came into the show this year, like us, for Ariana. Ari is one of the reasons the show became so big.
What were your expectations coming in, Shelby? Because it's a known fact that Love Island USA, tends to not be that good, right? I have only been told, watch Love Island UK, that's a superior franchise. I've always been told the USA one is never as good, don't watch it. So I've never seen a season.
To be honest, I hadn't really heard many people talk about Love Island USA, but I remember last year from you saying your friends were oh, don't watch it. I historically have been more of a Bachelor, Love is Blind, kind of dating reality show girly, so hadn't really fallen into Love Island in general. And then last year I watched Love Island UK for the first time, season 10. French kiss, was perfect. This year for Love Island USA, I feel like people were talking about it because of Ariana. But after the first week or so, it just felt like I was hearing about Love Island USA everywhere. And I was like, okay, I need to watch this. I have to figure out why everyone's talking about it, why people are buzzing about it. I got hooked. So this was my first time watching Love Island USA. And I got so into it. It's been living in my mind rent-free. And I've been telling everyone I possibly can to watch it, including our family. Every friend, I'm like, you have to watch Love Island USA. What are you doing? I was at an event today. It was like, guys, Love Island USA, you have to watch. So, it's the show.
I know. We reviewed Love Island UK season 10 a year ago. So check out that episode. Ellen Tyreek, what a wild season. And people have been recommending Love Island to me for years, but I just was like, I watched season 1 of the UK, a few episodes. I didn't love it, so I stopped watching. But then moving to San Francisco, everyone's like, you gotta watch it. So I was like, okay, I'll watch an old season. I looked up best seasons of Love Island online. Season 5 came up across the board. Shelby's now watching UK season 5. And I was like, okay, this is good. And then I was like, I'll watch the new season when it comes out. So I watched season 10 live. And then our family watched it with me and they became obsessed. And then I wasn't planning on watching the USA version. Everyone's like, Ariana. But then, like Shelby said, everyone has been talking about this season of US. It's everywhere. There's a point where at every single event I went to, people were like, Love Island USA, are you watching it? And I was like, okay, no, I'm not, but I need to. I finally caved. And I kid you not, I watched all like 35 episodes in a week.
Because you just started. Yeah, I remember. I was like, you just started watching. And then you all of a sudden were watching the finale live with a friend. And I was like, wait, how did Laura catch up that fast?
Insane. I was watching on my phone. I was watching it wherever I was. I was like, I have to catch up. And the episodes are so long. Good. They're like an hour and a half. What?
Big difference between UK and US. The episodes are no joke. I initially was like, how am I going to catch up? But I started before you with catching up. Because I didn't, like, after we watched in Mississippi, I was like, oh, okay, like, let me give this a chance. And once you got into it, I was like, ooh. So, but I would go to an episode and be like, wait, why is this 90 minutes? The finale was 2 hours. I was like,
a movie? Are you 90 minutes?
They have too much good content. I was like, honestly into it. Whereas, you know, sometimes I would be annoyed, but then you start watching, you're like, oh, actually,
right.
I'm hooked.
Those were the expectations coming in. Everyone was talking about it. I was like, I guess I have to watch it. And that's what happened.
To really like double down on the buzz here, I said it's the show of the summer, and I like mean that. It's been breaking streaming records.
Yes.
Check Variety, check Nielsen. Like Love Island USA is in the top of the streaming charts. It has nearly doubled Peacock viewership just from last year. It's been trending on social media, like Kim Kardashian's, you know, posting about being a bombshell. Like everyone is talking about this show. And like I was literally at an event today, mind you, the finale's already happened, and people were like, oh my gosh, I think I want to start watching. Like just because it's in the zeitgeist. Yeah. Like Leah and Rob were just on Call Her Daddy. Like someone brought that up to me. They just listened to that podcast and they're like, maybe I should start watching. Like it's insane. So like so many people are like finding the show and talking about it. It really feels like the show of the summer. Like not a joke. It
1000%. So Shelby, what were some of your favorite moments from this season?
Yes, my favorite moments, to be honest, there were so many, but we're going to try and go in chronological order, people. Right out of the gate, we're meeting New Islanders, and the show really starts in the first dumping when the girls, right, the ladies are choosing which boys they want to couple up with. Janae had been coupled up with Coy, like 6'8" black guy from North Carolina. And the problem with Coy was he wasn't really communicating with Janae. And honestly, the red flag for me was in the game when he said his body count had been like 100 plus, but he wouldn't want his woman to have done it with more than 10 or something. And just that double standard sent me.
No, and immediately I was like, I'm done with him. I'm done.
All the women. You could tell all the women were like,
Yeah, it was the Kings and Queens game. It was the higher, lower, right? Yes. The card sharks type game. Yes. And it was interesting, right? Seeing, you know, the body count thing. And I also noticed like the lowest number for the guys was like the highest for the women. It was like in the 20s. So crazy. I just thought that was interesting. And then Coy's was 150. I remember that distinctly. And I was like, that man, I don't know how old he is, but I was like, geez. It's gross. Like on for our Love Island UK watchers, how Kieran has like 110 partners.
And he's 21. Make it make sense. How the math's not mathing. Are you sleeping with someone every day? Like
21?
365 days in a year.
And like, 110 people? I like, actually can't process that. And I don't think Coy is, you know, I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but I was like 150? What? I mean, he's 6'8", just screams trouble to me. So I agree, that was the first red flag. And when he was like, oh yeah, no more than 10 for his lady, I'm like, girl, get out of here.
Crazy. So all of that to say, Janae ended up not picking Coy, which was the biggest shock. She ended up picking Connor, the white guy from Santa Monica, California. Polar opposite of Coy, but seemed nicer at the time. And Coy ended up being the first guy dumped. Crazy, because in the first episode, multiple women want to couple up with him. Remember, like Serena, Hannah, Janae, all stand on his tile or whatever. Like, oh, I want to couple up with him. And he picks Janae. So he went from having 3 possible girls to being the first one dumped. I mean, iconic trajectory.
That's when I was like, oh, this season started, right?
Ooh.
Because on a normal, some other shows, someone like Koi,
Oh my
right? The hot
gosh.
commodity.
Yes.
He would never be done
There's
first.
no way he gets out. Like, the
No.
producers will find a way to save him.
Yes, scheme, maneuver. Yeah,
Bring
so
him
I was like,
back
oh,
in
we're
Casa or something.
right. So I was like, okay, let's go. I was ready. I was shook when that happened. And that also made me respect Janae because I was like, girl, this man does not speak to you. He clearly doesn't respect women as strong, but clearly there's a disconnect with how he treats women, right? There's something going on. So I immediately was like, he's not the one. So the fact that she actually made that decision, because everyone was expecting her to pick Koi. So that made me respect Janae a lot. I was like, yeah, she actually listened to her gut. So I was really happy about that. The underwear party also felt like, oh, like we're starting. Because one, Ariana's outfit, I think that was her best outfit of the whole season.
Slaying. All
she was wearing that black sheer outfit, that bodysuit, and
like
that really long
robe or something.
Yeah. Like, I think it was chiffon cape. Her best outfit, hands down. She looked amazing. And she was like, we have 2 new bombshells. And before that, when she was like, someone needs to wear the blindfold, and someone else has to be
bizarre
handcuffed with their arms. I was like, what is going on? I was like, this show is off the rails. I'm like, what are they doing? And then when she introduced the 2 new bombshells, and they had to like make out and people didn't know what was going on.
They were like, who are they kissing?
Was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like that on TV.
And then you have like Taylor hearing someone kissing Aaron and she's like, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. But she can like set someone next to her.
Yeah,
crazy.
She can hear the kissing. So I just really loved that moment. And Drea and Nicole coming in as bombshells.
And they looked amazing. They were bombshelling for sure. Speaking of bombshelling, one of my favorite moments is during the kissing booth game. And before Aaron can kiss all the ladies, Miguel, our British bombshell, shows up and kisses all of the women. First of all, he looks so hot.
Yeah.
Second, his accent, crazy. And then the fact that all these women are kissing this guy and they're like, who's this? He doesn't seem like the others. Like, they can tell, but because it's the game, they have like the headphones and the blindfolds so they can't see or hear. And then afterwards, they all unmask and they're like, oh my gosh, a new Miguel. Miguel came in hot. He was not playing around.
What do you think of Love Island USA having so many international people? What do you think of that?
I don't love it. Initially, was like, why do they have a British dude with Aaron? Like, it was so annoying. And I was like, why is he here? And then I was like, why do they have Liv, this Australian? I was like, I don't get it. But then I was like, well, I guess Liv is in Australia, which is close to Fiji, which is where they film. So maybe that's like nice in terms of proximity. And then I was like, well, maybe they are trying to appeal to the other nations and countries that have the shows, right? They have Love Island Australia and Love Island UK. So maybe they're trying to appeal to those people too, not just in the US. But when Miguel came, I did not mind because Miguel looks great.
I feel like, yeah, perfect. Love it.
But I initially thought it was weird because I'm like, you don't see that on the other shows. Like, the only thing I feel like that happened was last year with Mehdi, right? Wasn't he French?
He was French, yeah.
That was the first time, or first only time I saw that. So I thought it was weird that they had so many non-Americans on.
Yeah, I mean, right, we aren't habitual Love Island USA watchers, so maybe that's common, but I was surprised. I was like, why are there so many foreigners? I think I'd probably prefer if it was more right. It's USA, but
I don't think they're needed.
No. Another one of my favorite moments that was so messy. Stick or twist. This was so good. The dance-off game.
The games were really good. I'm very impressed.
Right?
I think that's a difference between US and UK. The UK games are like, you just sit around the fire pit or something.
And you ask messy questions, right?
But like the US games, it's like Survivor.
It's a production. Yes, it's a whole production. I have to say the games are great.
It's like Wipeout. I'm like, wow, what are we...
Right, it's like American Ninja Warrior. What's going
Literally,
on?
the big obstacle.
I know, and I feel like every game has like 10 steps. You're like, wait, so
Yeah,
they slide, they go down the slide,
longest.
they have to find a key, they have to do hopscotch, and then they make out in like a river, and you're like, what?
They're like very long games. They're elaborate.
Very intricate. I love this sticker. This was so messy. I don't know, it seemed so innocent to me. I was like, yeah, like everyone's gonna stay together. Yeah, this will be fun. No, I was so wrong. We start out with Kayla and Aaron, and they stick. They
Of
stay
course.
together, and they like dance, and and then the wall opens, and they see each other. They're like, yay! And then everyone else twists. I was so shocked. All the couples
Crazy.
broke up, and each one, no two couples both twisted. At least one person stayed.
Brutal.
And to see like both of them dancing, and then one person leaving, and the other person.
So bad. And then the people that are on the sidelines are like, oh no, like they're like, I hope that other person stayed, or I hope that person left. And then all of a sudden the door opens.
Oh my gosh.
And
Kordell is just standing there like, where's Serena?
Poor guy. Serena did put him through the ringer in the beginning because she was going slow,
gosh.
and she was like, oh, I don't want you anymore. Oh, I do want you. And then she twisted. It was brutal.
Oh my god, that game did me in. I was crying laughing that entire game. Seeing like Kordell go off, and he's like doing all these dances.
He really danced. He was into
that game was so good. And that game was so good.
You can see his heart like drop when he didn't see her.
When he didn't see her on the other side of the wall.
Same with Nicole. Nicole like expected Kendall to stay. And
as did I.
Kendall, because he was being prideful, he was like, oh, Nicole said, she wants to, also talk to Miguel, so, I don't want to look stupid and stand up there. It's like, oh my gosh, Kendall, like, do you like the girl or not? Stop thinking about what you look like.
I know, it was all just about his ego, that decision. I thought that was really weird.
So that was annoying. Yeah. And then all the people that stayed had to go and watch from the terrace all of the people that twisted meet the new bombshells. Savage.
Love. That game was savage. Okay, what other favorite moments, Shelby?
Well, one of those bombshells was Kenny, and he picked Janae for his date. And that was the beginning of a beautiful love story. And I was just happy because Janae had issues with Coy, had issues with Connor, didn't really have a lot of positive experiences in the villa yet. So I was happy that Kenny was kind of like a Prince Charming, came in to save the day. And they had a nice, boat moment.
I totally agree. I will say, Kenny was hands down the hottest guy on the entire show.
I loved Kenny.
Wow.
Kenny did it for me. That's for sure.
No. I was talking to someone about this. They were like, we feel like the people on this season of Love Island USA are not like the hottest, most attractive people. Like, they have, like, good bodies and stuff. I wasn't particularly super attracted to, like...
To the guys.
And I thought, like, the women were, they were cute, but I wasn't like, whoa, these are the most amazing, gorgeous women I've ever seen. Like, and I had a friend who kind of felt similarly. But Kenny, I was like, oh, here we go. We actually found a bombshell who is bombshelling. He's hands down the most attractive person on the season.
It felt like to me that maybe the Americans were more chill than the UK people. The UK people all have work done, and they all like wear full faces of makeup, and it seemed a little different on the US. So maybe that's it. Like maybe they don't cast those kinds of people. I thought Kenny was attractive. I thought Coy was attractive. I'm like, who else? I thought Miguel was attractive. Everyone was obsessed with Rob. Rob didn't really do it for me, but people loved Rob. I definitely don't think Aaron was attractive. I wasn't into Kendall. Kordell was too tiny.
I can't.
Overall, I agree. Kenny, great.
Yes. Something else I really loved. We're going to dig into more of Casa Amor, but the story that the producer sent to those poor girls in the villa.
Savage.
That...
First time I've ever seen that.
Unbelievable. If you have seen the other USA seasons, please let us know if that's common, if that's ever happened before. From the several seasons I've seen, that has never happened. I could not believe my eyes. I was like, what's a story? A story? What? And then they showed Dea on top of Kordell, grinding in bed, dry humping, as Serena would say.
Brutal.
And also them making out, Kordell being like, my lips are dry.
And she giving him, putting lip gloss on and kissing him. Brutal. Now his lips are dry.
They showed Aaron and Daniela playing footsies and them speaking Spanish, and Aaron being like, oh, I want to kiss you, but I don't want to hurt someone.
And then just to let Kayla spiral and have to, like, ask the guy in Casa Amor, translate this for me. What is he saying? Like, poor Kayla. Like, that's when I actually felt bad. And it wasn't even the worst of it. That's what was crazy. She was spiraling over that, and I'm like, girl, wait until you see movie night.
Yeah, that the story message was, a lot of people were calling it cinema. A lot of people are saying the producers deserve an Emmy for that moment. I had never seen anything like that before.
Because I feel like if the ladies hadn't seen that, they would have just been so excited to see their men when they came back. But I think they needed to do that. So when Kayla saw Aaron, she was upset. And when Serena saw Kordell, she was upset. And they were ready with their, speeches. Yeah. They were ready to go.
Something else I love, speaking of the Casa aftermath, when that whole fire pit moment afterwards was just unbelievable. And I loved when Janae was standing up and being like, I'm going to stay loyal to Kenny, even though the men were all over her during Casa. And Janae still was like, I'm going to stay loyal. And she was like, if Kenny comes with a girl, someone take my earrings. She's like, pack my bag.
She was like, when ready to go.
Take my earrings off. I was like, she's going to fight. Janae's going to fight whoever comes in. I thought that was so funny.
And literally, the second she saw Kenny with someone, she was trying to leave. They were like, Janae, no.
Get me out. Pack my bag. Loved that.
Oh my gosh. And more Casa aftermath that we loved. As Kordell is trying to win Serena back, he comes to bring and give her breakfast as, she's getting ready with the girls in the makeup room. Serena knocks the plate over. She won't accept it, and then it spills all over Kordell.
I kid you not, I audibly screamed. I screamed when she did that. She was like, Kordell, no, don't bring that over here. Don't bring that over here. Because he first drops off the food to Dea, and then he drops off the food to her. And she's like, no, don't bring it over here. Don't bring it over here. And then she smacks it into him. I screamed.
Literally, his chest had scrambled eggs. Like, shook. He took it like a champ.
She needed to let him know. Like, how dare you bring me breakfast? Don't bring me back breakfast. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. That moment, one of the best things I've ever seen on reality television. That will live in my mind rent free. I am obsessed. I think about it all the time.
And then a funny callback to it was like a few days later, once Serena and Kordell are back in each other's good graces, Kordell comes to give her food, and he's like holding it really far and like being nervous, like acting like she might knock it away again. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, they're jokesters. They clown each other.
Yes.
And I just felt like it was funny that they could still make light out of the situation.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
That might be my favorite moment from the whole season. Her knocking over the breakfast.
Good.
My gosh. I love that.
Another moment for me was the first recoupling after Casa Amor, when all of the men came to their senses and were like, actually, I want to be with my OG girls, not the Casa women. And in particular, Kenny's recoupling speech that they all thought was like wedding vows, and they all thought deserved like an Oscar. Like, the reactions were crazy. It was really sweet. And I was like, yes, Kenny, talk up Janae, let her know how you feel. It was just so sweet.
That speech was so good. That made me I was always team Kenny and Janae, but oh my goodness, I was like,
even more. Oh my gosh. Kenny. Them going to the hideaway. Just everything that happened with their relationship, I was just so in.
Kenny. Loved it. 100%. Kane, another thing I loved was You Drive Me Crazy, the game where they revealed the tweets. I love that game. Why don't they do that on the UK?
Do that every year, every season, every franchise.
I remember they did that on season 5 of UK, and I was like, this is so good. It's because it's always so messy. But they didn't do it last season on Love Island UK. So I was like, what? It's so good. It's so good.
It was so good.
Because they need to know because it stirs the pot, but it's also, the
audience feels.
Yes, how the audience feels. Several of them stuck out to me. But the one that really did, when it was like, blank is such an ick. About Kendall.
Yikes. Kendall was like, it can't be me. It can't be me.
Like, it can't be me. And I was like, yeah, you better know. I was like, this tweet better be about Kendall. That's literally how I thought. Because he needed to be said. It needed to be said. Because right? And movie night also showed this. But the girlies don't see how he is behind the scenes with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like being messy. He switches up. He's stirring the pot. You know, so I just was so happy someone was like, Kendall is such a nick, because I was like, am I alone? Am I the only person who doesn't like Kendall and thinks he's like way too much and like he is such an ick? I was icked out by him. I'm glad that tweet really spoke to me. What other tweets from that challenge stood out to you?
I thought the messiest was the Daya one. I'm like, you guys must not like Daya, because they had a tweet that was like, Daya clearly had a mission coming in. She went straight for Kordell, but was all in OBJ's tweets, comments beforehand. And I was like, oh, y'all are wild. Coming for her neck.
With the receipts.
Like, that's crazy. And she got so defensive. And that looked awful, because she did come into Casa with only eyes for Kordell.
She was like, I want Kordell. I thought
was a little strange.
Yes,
you know,
I agree.
Like, there are all these guys. Kordell's cute, but I don't think he's like the hottest guy there. The first person. So it did seem like, interesting. And he said he, had people just want to be with him because of OBJ in the past. So it did feel like, yikes. And then the one where it was like, Kayla doesn't even know the worst of it. I was like, that's what's crazy. She's crying so much and doesn't even know how bad it was. That, I think, was nuts.
And the one also about Leah, how it was like, this person is evil, is so mean. Why does anyone like her? And I was like, ooh, it was like, she's not a girl's girl. I was like, this better be about Leah.
Okay, so next, for my favorite moment, is Harrison coming in as a bombshell. This like hot Australian who has long blonde hair and wears gold rings and actually dresses well. I was like, what is going on? And all the women gasped. Their mouths were on the floor. I was shocked with them. I was very excited. I just wish he'd come in a little sooner. And I felt bad for Liv, because of course she had just been dumped, and then an Australian guy comes, of course.
And they look like they could be like siblings.
Literally, they look alike. Blonde stallions.
Tall, yeah.
I just feel like Nicole really wanted him, but didn't want to leave Kendall at this point. I think she knew that would be a bad move. Because I don't even think she likes Kendall that much. Yikes!
I don't disagree. Because clearly she was really into Harris. I mean, who wouldn't be? He's gorgeous. He's the fourth Hemsworth brother, right? Like, he's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would leave Kendall for Harrison. So I think that Nicole, right? She was like, yeah, Kendall's safe. Kendall's like all in on her.
Mm-hmm. He's nice to her.
Yeah, he treats her well. They have a lot in common. I just think, she didn't want to mess up what she had with Kendall. She was like, it's too late in the game, They were always saved by America, so yeah, I agree. She played it safe.
The other thing with Harrison that I did like was that he stole Sierra from Kane, which meant Kane was being dumped. Another pointless British guy. Why was Kane on the show? He wasn't cute. He was mean to Liv and Sierra. It was like good riddance. Bye, 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 bye. Go.
Yeah,
go.
I agree. I did not like Kane at all. Someone else said this to me. They just didn't like the male bombshells in Casa. Like,
oh my gosh, they were awful. The male bombshells in Casa were not cute. And I think that's why the ladies... Okay.
No one switched.
I don't think the ladies were giving loyal anyway. Yes. But the guys weren't the big temptation, whereas the girls in Casa were hot.
Yeah, they were all stunning. Yeah.
They were stunning. The boys in Casa were not. So I'm not shocked the girls weren't feeling them.
So good riddance to Kane. And some of the girls were like, oh, like he's really attractive. I was like, where?
His tattoos all over his neck and face, it just was not doing it for me.
No.
His voice was weird. It wasn't even like a cute accent. It was like a, I can't really understand you accent.
Right. Yeah. Something else I also loved. Of course, everyone loves the heart rate challenge on UK. Hearts on Fire was super fun. It felt like the entire season incredibly off the rails. It was like it didn't felt wilder, way more crazy than usual.
Best heart rate challenges. Like
right?
It just felt more intense. It felt like they were trying so hard. It's like they gave it their all. The music choices were amazing. The skits were so smart. Or like the people that chose to do a skit, like I thought Leah's doctor was iconic. When she went to Rob and is like, oh, I think he still has the hots for me. Like, she just was so good. Janae doing it to Meg. Like, it just, everything about it, I was very impressed. Like, it was very well done.
And Miguel was on one. You know, Miguel seems like he is a self-proclaimed player.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, it's fun. Like, he owns it. And you could tell. He literally had Daniela, like, in the air. Her legs were, like, wide open. And he was throwing her up and down. Like, how is he doing that? And I saw this online, too. When Miguel put his hand in the fire and then choked Leah. I questioned reality. I was like, what am I watching? I cannot believe
he's done that before. You could tell Miguel is crazy.
It was not his first time. I was like, he put his hand in the fire.
Miguel
and then choked Leah.
What? Unreal. That's why I think they're good together. They're both crazy.
They're both out of their minds.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe my eyes.
That was insane.
Believe oh my gosh. My last favorite moment. Mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much everything Janae did, but I loved her in the final challenge.
The Mr. and Mrs. challenge?
Yes. Because, right, that's her dream, to get married to Kenny, so she was living her fantasy.
She said it a million times.
And when they were, like, digging into the cake, Kenny's face was, like, just straight in it. She didn't even try. She pulled out the fork and was just eating the cake from the
Everyone was like, where'd you get the fork? How did you get a fork?
Where did the fork come from, Janae?
It's like she pulled it out of her dress. She's like, I'm always prepared.
I know. I just thought that was so funny. Just, like, nibbling on the cake with the fork.
Oh, my gosh. Iconic. Okay. A lot of favorite moments. Clearly, we enjoyed the season.
Yes.
Wow. On to our least favorite moments. I mean, it's tough because I feel like some of these are least favorite, but were so entertaining and caused, like, amazing cinema. Like, Andrea being dumped from the island, Rob's reaction. It was so dramatic. He almost, like, wanted to leave, right? He was threatening to leave. Like, you guys lost 3 tonight instead of 2.
Ugh.
He's, like, moping around. He's throwing up his hands. He's eye-rolling.
He's like, I'm gone.
The most
oh my gosh,
dramatic scene ever. Honestly, the part I didn't like was I felt bad for Janae because they were like, obviously you know who to send home. And it was like, who? Because basically the girls had to pick out of Nicole, Janae, and Andrea who to send home. And the guys had to pick between Hakeem, Rob, and Kendall. So they were like, oh, obviously we're picking, Hakeem. Which, to be fair, Hakeem didn't really seem to have many friends, and they didn't like him for some reason. It was a harder decision for the girlies, but they decided to keep Janae because that's their friend, and they want her to have a shot at love. And I completely agree. So even though she was not in a relationship, I agree that she deserved to stay. And it's like, Love Island is also about the friendships and relationships. You can't tell me that never comes into play. Why did Whitney and Locken keep Mitch at the end of last season on UK season 10? They were like, he's personality
a
in the
main
villa.
character in the villa.
That happens. Like, we have to be realistic. It's not always about love. So for them to come for Janae and say she should have gone home, I thought was awful. And so that was like my least favorite part of the Andrea dumping, the way that they were treating Janae.
Yes.
But it was cinema.
It was. Also, I knew the girls. I was like, the girls better not send Janae home. And I knew they weren't going to. No. They weren't going to. And that's why I say Love Island is like The Bachelor meets Survivor, right? It's about alliances. Love Island is about alliances and keeping your friends in, right? You have to make sure you have connections. You're not making enemies, because if you make enemies, your friends are not going to save you. So I say that all the time. When people are like, what is Love Island? I'm like, oh, it's like, it's a dating show times Survivor, because that's kind of what it is. I also just, Rob, during that whole thing, we all knew that boy was not going to leave. This guy wants to be on TV. He wants to be with his boyfriend, Aaron. Like, he wants to be with all of his friends. He's not going to leave anyone. He was like, no. And he was like crying and making all these faces. He's like, why? And he's like, I'm gone. I'm leaving. You lost 3 tonight. I was like, boy, you better get out of here. Leave. I was like, I hope Rob leaves. But this man is going to stay on television. He is not going to leave and get rid of his free vacation in Fiji. I just could not believe that he was like so performative. And then he was like to Andrea, do you want me to leave with you? And it's like, boy, what do you want her to say? She was like, well, selfishly I want you to leave with me, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And he was like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay. And now he hasn't thought a single second about this Andrea girl.
No.
He's making out with a new girl the next day. Who's surprised?
He's been in 6 couples and has not said a peep about Andrea now. I doubt he has seen Andrea in the real world. That's for sure.
No, he's said publicly that he wants like nothing to do with her. Yeah. Because apparently he's like, yeah, she's been, a little clingy. She's been talking about me in the press and saying a lot on social media. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep my distance. Now he's actively like spoken out against her. Like, yeah, I don't want to date
Brutal.
her.
And he's saying he still likes Leah. What a clown. I feel like he's doing that because he knows Leah's popular, not because he actually wants to be with her. He had his chance.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a clown. Another clownish moment from the men. It's so funny because at first when Janae was with Connor, I was like, oh, like, I'm so happy, he treats her well, etc., etc. But then Connor switched up so fast. I was like, this man was a snake. He was never genuine.
He was giving horrible. Strategic.
Yes.
So
he was
bad.
Like, let me just find a girl, who might not be happy in her couple. He latched onto Janae, got to stay, and he was like, I told you that I was always interested in Leah. And then once we saw that Leah and Rob were not a thing anymore, Connor pounced immediately. So and I was like, and just completely swiped and ignored Janae. You hate to see it. It's giving used.
Especially as a Black woman, I hated to see Janae, a Black woman, be used by this white guy. It's like, did you actually really like her? Were you fetishizing her? Were you just using her as a tool? Like, it was just rubbing me the wrong way. So I was really glad that in the next recoupling, no one picked him and he was dumped.
Thank
karma.
Goodness.
It's giving karma.
1000%. We talked about our favorite moments from Casa Amor. This is one of my least favorite moments, period, from the season. Serena, she made it very clear, like, I'm a slow burner, I don't like opening up because I fall hard, and then these men, they hurt me, etc., etc. And when we see her crying on the floor during Casa Amor over Kordell,
girl,
I'm sick. I still am like, girl. Brutal. She was lying on the ground crying over this man who was making out with this other woman and grinding in bed. I was like,
the editing, they deserve an Emmy, because they would literally show Serena and Kaylor bawling like, we miss our men. And then Kordell and Aaron are having a good old time over in Casa. Like, it was brutal. The ladies would sleep outside at night getting bitten by mosquitoes and soul ties. And then the men were in bed, humping their other girls. The biggest juxtaposition. I was shocked. I feel really bad for Serena. I kind of feel bad for Kaylor too. seeing them so upset before they even knew what was going on in Casa, I was like, yikes. Just
Y'all are
wait
toast.
till they get the story, till they see movie night, till they come back, because it's going to be brutal.
Disaster.
And speaking from people coming back from Casa, that was a least favorite moment. So the fact that Miguel, Kenny, Rob, and Kordell all came back with women, and none of their women came back with a guy. I remember that is when I texted you. It was like, you have to watch Love Island USA. I was watching Casa, and I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like,
nuts.
You guys have to watch. I've never seen a Casa Amor like that before.
Yeah, that was off the absolute rails. That episode was so bad because all the ladies were like, I stayed loyal. And you like saw Kendall's face every time. Like,
because he knew. He was like, yeah.
Janae was like, Kenny's my person. I love him. We're going to get married and we're going to stay loyal. Kenny. And then Kenny walks in with this other girl. And then Serena's like, yeah, you know, I saw this video. I'm staying single, but I want nothing, you know, all this stuff. And Kendall was just like, oh my gosh. That was rough. And Janae was like, pack my bags. Take off my earrings. Let's go. I'm leaving. And I was like, no. And the girls were holding Janae back. They're like, no. Oh, that was rough. Another incredibly rough night in the villa. Movie night. Hot mess.
Yikes. Again, very entertaining, but the reason why I think it's in least favorite is it felt like the guys didn't get their comeuppance, you know?
Not at all.
It felt like they could have gone harder on Aaron, they could have gone harder on Rob, they could have gone harder on Kendall, Kordell, like all of them. It felt like the girls were fighting more because there was like a clip about Liv, there was a clip about Leah. It was like, what is going on? The men were the clowns, not the girls.
Right?
I heard people say they felt like the producers were trying to like stir the pot and have the girls kind of turn on each other. But it's like, wait, why would you do that? Like, why would you play clips to make it seem like, you know, Leah and Liv are the villains? It's like, the villains are Aaron and Rob and Kordell and Kendall. They're the ones with the problem. The worst movie night video was the Gone Girl one, just seeing Serena cry over Kordell. That was too much.
Oh my gosh.
It was like doubling down on like, and then you could see Kordell watching it and he looked broken. He was like distraught that he had done that to her.
Movie night was messy, but I agree. Like, they showed one clip of Kendall being like, yeah, Kordell, you seem so happy with Dea. Serena doesn't even like you, all this stuff. And I'm like, Kendall has been messy the entire time, saying stuff. And they showed like one clip, and I'm like, they needed to rail into him more because he is like coming off so easy in the villa. And I'm like, no, he's messy. And I agree, they barely showed any of the Aaron and Daniela stuff. I feel like Rob, they didn't show any negative stuff for Rob. I was shocked.
I feel like they like Rob.
Oh yeah, clearly the producers love. I mean,
he had 9 lives.
We're gonna get into it. Oof. Rob just he could not get off the show. Like, despite every opportunity, he somehow managed to stay. So yeah, I just didn't like the sympathy. Like, they showed that iconic rant of Leah, you know, ranting to the girls about Rob and his tears. And then Rob was like, why would you say that about me? And then Aaron was like, you're making fun of Rob for having emotions. And then Liv was like, why are you defending Rob and not defending Kayla?
Oh my gosh. Aaron was so obsessed with Rob.
Ew, it's weird, right?
It's
I mean, if
really
they want
weird.
To, like, they seem to be the most compatible couple. Like, if they want
to... and Schwartz. I'm like, you guys need to get a room because clearly you guys really want to be with each other and not your women.
Right?
It's weird.
They seem to be the most compatible couple. Like, yeah, y'all should go and be together. Run off into the sunset because it's weird. And their send-off? Remember when they both left and they're like, bro, let's go to the dock? I was
like, are you going to talk to your girls?
Why are you two going to the dock for a one-on-one? He was like, yeah, bro, you really made my experience here in the villa, like, I'll never forget you, bro. I was like, are they dating? It felt so strange.
So funny.
Yeah, I just did not like the sympathy for Rob that he was getting. Mm-hmm. He didn't get no justice for all of his shenanigans this season. Absolutely none.
Another moment I didn't love was the July 4th food challenge. We don't have to talk about it much because if we do, we're probably going to gag. This challenge, I think, went too far. They basically had to pass food around that was July 4th themed in their mouths in teams. So they would, let's say Miguel picks up a hot dog. He'd have to transfer the hot dog to Leah's mouth. And then Leah would have to transfer it to Serena. And then Serena to Kordell. And then they'd have to dump it into a bucket. And they had to do that with not only hot dogs, but condiments. Ketchup. They would literally put ketchup in their mouths.
No.
And then spit it into someone's mouth. And then that person would have to spit it into someone else, and then to fill up a container. I was just thinking of the saliva, the germs. Like, that is so nasty. A hot dog is one thing, but ketchup, mayo, mustard, that's too far.
That will haunt my nightmares forever. I remember when that came out, I was watching that episode, I was cooking dinner. And I actually, felt my stomach, getting nauseous.
I had to,
seriously
cover my eyes. I couldn't watch it.
And I actually was, I was reacting. I was like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Disgusting.
I was cooking and I was like, I don't know if I can eat.
Laura.
It was like, I don't know if I can eat dinner.
And I was like, how did they come up with this? And then, you mentioned, I'm starting to watch Love Island UK Season 5. They had a challenge like that in that. And I was like, oh, so is this a Love Island thing? So maybe they found it from the past? I don't know, but they literally did that on Love Island UK Season 5. They have them use their mouths, but it's only between their couple. So Maura and Tommy, would have to together fill up Coca-Cola and make a sandwich and fries all with their mouths. And it was disgusting.
Yeah, this was way worse. I was physically feeling sick watching it. It was horrible.
It was rough.
This is why we can't celebrate the 4th of July. No, I'm kidding.
I'm screaming. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, this is how people think the 4th of July is.
I know. I don't need any more 4th of July trauma.
No.
No. That was scary. Can never eat pulled pork again. I actually am can I eat ketchup? Should I use ketchup? The worst. Ketchup was
oof.
I don't know how they did that. I would sue for damages if I was on the show and they told me I had to do that.
They're really brave. The fact that they all did that is crazy to me.
This is why I can't, there's many reasons why I can't go on reality TV, but if they expect me to baby bird ketchup from 5 different people, and I think Kenny was at the end, and he was I was getting saliva from It's how did I get this position? He was how
the best one was first.
First.
Yeah,
first was best. First was
okay, let's
think about
move
it
on.
now.
I can't.
We talked about Harrison coming in as a bombshell. We liked him, but these last minute bombshells towards the end, it's a tough position. And I just didn't like Cassie coming in, right before the finale. It just felt really
weird.
Random. And again, a last-ditch effort to make sure that Rob was in the finale, right? It was Rob should have gone home. And then all of a sudden, Cassie, who, of course, Cassie knows Rob.
And because Rob was a Casa boy in season 5.
Yes. These producers are so annoying. You bring this girl who, they were a familiar face. And I was I don't know who this is. And of course she chooses Rob, right? And I'm just why do we need this bombshell? Why is Rob still here? Why is he here? He said he was going to leave with Andrea, and somehow he's in the finale with this random girl. It just felt like a scheme from the producers. It feels like a conspiracy, and a lot of people are saying this. How did Rob get so far? The producers clearly liked him, and the producers clearly did everything they could to keep him there. It was annoying.
It's giving Joey Essex in Love Island season 11 on the UK. It's
yes,
a conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Sure. Thank you so much for tuning into our jumbo-sized review of Love Island USA Season 6, Part 1. We appreciate y'all tuning in to Sisters Who Watch Pod, and hope you check out our Part 2 review of Love Island USA Season 6 next.